What up, boxing fans? So, April 12th has come and gone. We are less than 24 hours removed from the rematch, Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley. And this time, the judges got it right. Manny Pacquiao scores a unanimous decision victory over Timothy Bradley, giving him his first official loss. I personally scored the fight 115-113 for Pacquiao. I just thought he was the more dominant fighter, the more consistent fighter. And truthfully, I think Timothy Bradley went into this fight with the wrong game plan. I'll say in the first couple of rounds, it looked like he was implementing a game plan that would work. I mean, he was boxing, getting in and out, giving Manny a little bit of some lateral movement. But I think in Bradley's head, and maybe this was due to the media making it seem as if like he had no knockout power, and then maybe basing it off the fact that Pacquiao was knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez, and he didn't look like maybe the same Manny against Brandon Rios. We saw a little, I don't want to say the old Manny's back. I mean, I think it's safe to say we're not going to see that Pacquiao again. And that's just, that's just age. I mean, he's not going to be this relentless fighter. He's a smarter fighter now. And I think that showed in this fight. I think Pacquiao picked his shots, and I think Pacquiao saw when the openings presented themselves, because I think Bradley felt I think he got hurt in several instances in this fight, and it had nothing to do with Jim Lampley or Kellerman, which I'll say that they were off at many times in the fight. And it was funny, Roy Jones, compared to those two, was the one really being the more insightful one. There were shots that I think Bradley really felt, because there were points where Bradley was when Manny was initiating the offense, and there were points where, look, Bradley was blocking shots too, but there were these little right hooks that Manny would land that it kind of like would back Bradley up, and instead of giving Manny movement, he just kept going backwards. And that, to me, is a sign of a guy who maybe felt some shots. But I think, too, in general, Manny, in comparison to the first fight, I think he was a lot more consistent with his shots. I think he was, he's like I said, he saw the openings, And look, Bradley's a tough guy, man. I mean, it was tough for me to really pick Manny to knock Bradley out, because he's tough as nails. And considering he went life and death with Provatnikov, who's a powerhouse, Manny's a speedster. His power, he does have power, but it's in like punches and bunches, where he gets you. So I think what happened with Bradley was, I just think he got a little maybe gassed, not in a sense of physically, but in his head, that he was going to try to pull off a Marquez type of situation. But, again, shots like that don't come all the time. And, it's boxing. Anything can happen. But Bradley and Marquez are two different punchers, I'll say. I want to say Marquez is probably the harder puncher than Timothy Bradley is. But, like I said, I think Manny, it was just... he was just the more dominant fighter down the stretch. Even though it was a 115-113 scorecard that I had, if it was 116-112, I'm not mad at that either. It was just a much more dominant performance by Manny Pacquiao. And, Timothy Bradley did make mention that, he hurt his calf, which I think he should have just, not mentioned that at all, because then it just makes him sound like a sore loser. Though I don't think he is. I just think he could have done fine without mentioning that. So I think also, too, in this fight, Timothy Bradley, I think he's gonna be a guy that's gonna be problems for a lot of fighters, man, at the welterweight division. He's a tough guy to fight, and I think this proved that Manny Pacquiao, though isn't the Manny Pacquiao of 2-3 years ago, he's still a good fighter, and he can still beat a lot of guys. Now, obviously, the question comes up about Floyd Mayweather. I truthfully think we should not even mention this fight until next year, because it's not going to happen. They're already lining Manny Pacquiao up for Marquez and and Alvarado, the winner of that. And then Floyd, after that, is going to fight another Golden Boy fighter. whether you think it's Mayweather's fault, Bob Arum's fault, Pacquiao, whatever, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not gonna happen. And at least for me, I can't get in the middle of the wars that I see online with these people bitching and complaining that, you know, Mayweather's scared and this, that, and the third. It's a lot bigger than that, man. You know, I don't like the fact that people think that fighters are scared. The fact that you go in the ring and you're facing any opponent is more balls than 95% of the people who bitch and talk in the forums, who will never step in a ring. But nevertheless, I think the next fight for Manny is going to be the winner of Alvarado and Marquez. And truthfully speaking, if Alvarado wins, it's not an appealing fight for Manny, because Manny doesn't have a lot of fights left, and at this point, man, you gotta fight names, man. And really the same goes for Mayweather, because, you know, he could potentially be fighting Danny Garcia or Amir Khan next, you know, and to me, either one of those fights, you know, he beats both of those guys. So, but as far as this fight's concerned, big congrats to Manny Pacquiao. I'm glad the judges got it right. I did not like the 118-110 scorecard, though. I think that was pretty ridiculous. Bradley made a much better effort than that. But, hey, you know, he'll fight another day. And, you know, we'll have to see what happens with Manny Pacquiao. Because when they were interviewing him, no mention of Floyd Mayweather or anything came up. It was the same old, you know, talk to my promoter. And, you know, this fight was for Jesus. So, but, like I said, man, congrats to Manny Pacquiao. The right decision was made this time. And we'll just have to wait and see what, you know, his next move is going to be. Like I said, I think it's going to be the winner of Marquez Alvarado. There's really nobody else there. Provatnikov, they fight under the same camp. They don't want to fight each other. So, like, it's slim pickings, man. So we'll have to see. I think he may fight in November. I mean, I assume that's, like, you know, the next date that he's going to have. And like I always say, stay tuned. I'm going to be giving my Cotto versus Martinez prediction real soon. Matter of fact, for those who did see the pay-per-view, they saw the small clip of the face-off, which I can't wait to see the full thing, man. I mean, the tension you can cut with a knife between those two. I mean, the respect's there, but you could tell there's tension. So that should be airing soon. They're gonna probably be airing I believe probably next month they'll start the 24/7 with Cotto and Martinez. But I cannot wait for that. But like I always say, subscribe, hit the links, and I'll be back soon. Peace.